questions now because you have so many fans, and when they found out that I was going to come and talk to you, they went completely nuts. So we'll do one each starting now. For Fawad, Monica wants to know, how is filming in Bollywood different from filming in Pakistan?
That's not a tough one. For me, at least, because I've been in the recent years acting in television, not been doing film in Pakistan. So the second wave of the second rebirth of cinema in Pakistan, there's been a lot of material coming out. A lot of young filmmakers who's just like joining the hopping on the train. And here, I think it's an established industry, it's been there for 100 years. When I go back, obviously I know that I'll be able to draw comparisons more easily. But this much I can say that there's truckloads of experience here when it comes to making a film, especially when it's happening in so many regions. And now it's crossing over. It's like spilling over into each region. Like Bollywood is, I think, spilling over into Hollywood and
all of them.
All the words.
Bollywood
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Films.
Big words.
So Sneha wanted to know, since she feels like a little bit of a misfit since she's a teenager, how do you, and when did you sort of blossom into this? Everyone knows you as this fashionista now. And were you ever a misfit?
I think I'm still a misfit.
No.
I know, I honestly think so. That's the whole hoopsurity of it, I think, in a way where you should always try to be yourself. I was in school, in boarding school, and I did not have much money at all at that point. And everybody was, I was in private school, so everybody was really affluent, and they used to, spend a lot of money on clothes, and I wanted to look good as well. So, I started, experimenting and buying things in Singapore, like experimental Chinese designers and stuff like that. And then my sister went to New York to study, and that's when both of us discovered vintage clothes and old clothes. And that's when we just started like mixing and matching and putting things together from high street and vintage, and just creating our own style, creating our own identity. When I joined this industry, in fact, I used to dress a certain way, and a lot of people made a lot of fun of me in the beginning.
Really?
One of these clothes that she's wearing, Purani Kapde Mehndi Rehti Hai. And people used to say all sorts of things to me, and which is fine, I was okay with it. But eventually it caught on with girls who were misfits.
Yeah.
And they realized that as a regular girl, you don't have to wear bodycon dresses all the time.
So how do you guys handle it, especially in the limelight, all the time? And I think as bloggers we say it because we have to comment on people's fashion and style and their movies all the time. How do you take it? Do you have to be like thick-skinned about it, and can you still bring out the emotion in your film when you see good, you see bad, you see all these comments?
I don't know. What do you think?
What do you do, Prinsley?
One thing for sure, I think that we should distance ourselves from such comments. Because obviously,
You were just telling me this actually.
Do you read the news about yourself? Like, do you Google yourself?
Not really. I'll be very honest with the reason is because I know that if I do start, scratching the surface, there'll be much more bigger.
You cannot.
There'll always be, a lot of people who do put out pointless criticism. I'm all for positive criticism, and I think I'm my best critic. And the biggest sign of that is whenever I see a performance of mine, which is cringeworthy, I do automatically do it. And I think that is an automatic reaction to something I see is completely off.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
You don't realize that usually as actors, we actually heavily criticize ourselves way more than
anyone else
would. So it's not that we're already hard on ourselves, and these kind of things kind of validate some of the stuff they say. So it could be hurtful. I remember I've never kind of seen I never see myself on like this thing. I like following you guys on Twitter and stuff like that. So a couple of blogs I follow who are mostly positive. You guys are not unnecessarily nasty about things, which is very nice. Like for example, I know that my manager at one point said that you need to have a Google alert on your phone whenever there's something about you, because we want you to be aware of what's
right
there.
In case somebody asks you something about
it or something. And I was just like, okay, fine, whatever. And I said no, because I've never had it, but I'm not aware.
Yeah.
So one day I realized that it was I was so stressed after having that. I was constantly anxious, and constantly I was only second guessing myself about everything. I immediately turned it off. It took me like 4 days to do it, and you don't realize that there's so much information out there which is unnecessary, and you don't need that kind of negativity. So you kind of try to avoid it and just focus on the positive instead of the negative. And like Fawad said, we as actors are our biggest critics.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to figure what other people are saying, we should just try to improve ourselves. So we shouldn't get affected by haters because eventually, you know, they cannot be in our position and work the way we work and do what we do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't even enjoy the privileges that we do either.
Yeah.
So nobody can be in anybody's position. So we need to just live life the way we really do.
Actually,
In short, I think we're doing our job we're doing your job for you. So you don't need to, you know, go
They
to
hate us.
the-
Don't hate us. We hate ourselves.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
myself. I love myself. But we criticize ourselves. Yeah.
but actually, I read this really great quote once. It says the opposite of love is not hate; it's indifference. So
Yeah.
that means you're still there.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Haters are the biggest
Yeah.
fans. For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. So I want to. Everybody always wants to know. So you know, do you get together with your dad and watch your film the first time it comes out? Because I know he's such a big supporter, and he's
Yeah.
probably taught you so many things. What's the one thing you lesson that he taught you about acting that you always remember?
I don't. My dad is. What do I say about my dad? Okay, so my dad is my biggest supporter, but he supports me as a human being as opposed to an actor.
Yeah.
So it's all about learning. It's not about like making. Okay. So it's not about. I don't think it's anything like. Yeah, he does. I cannot sit with my father and watch a movie. I cannot do that. I cannot see my own film with him. He has seen the films on his own, and 90% of the time he's enjoyed my performance. And he does have one or two pointers for me, but if he has to criticize me on anything, it's mostly my behavior, or the way I am, or the way I conduct myself, or anything.
What does he say?
No, nothing. Like in general, that maybe, you know, like the one thing that my father always told me was to always be professional and treat everybody as equal. I have never, whether it's a spot boy or the director of the film or anybody, I'm not a classist. I do not believe in defining anybody by anything. And that's the one important thing my father has taught me, to treat everybody the same, especially on a film set. Because everybody's contributing and it's not a solo effort.
Of course, it's a whole bunch of
Bunch of
people who are
people.
involved. Yeah. So Fawad, you're the new Khan in town. I'm sure you've been asked this question a billion times. The new Khan has arrived. How does it feel to be in Bollywood? And can I ask, like, what is the silliest thing someone has asked you so far about being the new Khan in Bollywood? I'm sure someone has asked you a ridiculous question.
We put me on the spot.
I see a lot of silly things to do.
And I usually forget.
Okay, who is your favorite Khan aside from yourself?
Favorite Khan? I think all of them have their own distinctive taste. I think what Sonam Khan does, Aniki Khan.
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan is a master of the art of, can I say, Bollywood romance.
Yes.
And Amir Khan, he's in his own zone. But he does very, you know, like, distinctive work from the rest of the lot. Saif Ali